Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Open Ed Week 2025. Today, we are excited to have Lee from one of our LibreNet Consortium member campuses, Evergreen Valley College, who's going to talk about how she's using AI and LibreTexts in her OER. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Lee.
All right, thank you very much. Well, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm very happy to see a lot of familiar face. So I would not get the stage fright, I guess. Let's see. So hang on, let me see. You see my slide, right? Uh, Jennifer, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna go through main thing, we'll keep it informal, but I have some slides so we can kind of guide the conversation. Um, but I'm an adjunct faculty at various colleges and universities. My specialties are teaching in information system, marketing, business, and social media. So those kind of courses are my wheelhouse. And I love OER. I've been with LibreTexts for a few years, but I wrote a few OER, and I also wrote a commercial textbook as well. So it's kind of relevant in our talk today because I can compare and contrast how easy it is to use AI in OER and making use of LibreText function. Uh, so, so first we have to say, why bother? All this AI, is it not a fad, right? And it's really not a fad because we now start having instruction from our school to put in our syllabus, these three options, either no AI or some AI and full AI. I wonder if you guys could put in the chat room, which option do you use in your courses or in your life? Anybody have any opinion? Let me see. I'll turn on the chat to see in case anybody put something. All over the place. Okay. All right. So let's see. Sub AI. Okay, so that's good. So in at least in the few schools I work with, instructors all over the map as well. I have talked to a faculty who say, absolutely no way. I feel like AI, I don't know what value I add to my course if I just use AI all the time, or I allow it to use a student so I'm grading what AI give me instead of grading the student. So it's really all over the map. And I've been offering training for some of my faculty at various schools on AI. So the thing is, we have to look at why, right? So we're looking at really, I started out and say, what am I supposed to do to guide a student? Because when I first started, I had the same question, like, what am I doing? Am I just creating, how do I allow students to use AI versus not? And so when I look at that, I'm sure we have to do a lot more things to guide students, but these are the 4 key things that kind of, for me, it resonates for me, is that we're supposed to guide them to learn. We have supposed to guide them to do critical thinking, and we have to show them how to make ethical decisions. And we're supposed to meet them where they are. We have to adapt. We have to be very adaptive in the way we talk to them, the way we present information. So that's what it's like for me in my world when I teach my courses. So then, like, how do I do it? Like many other faculty, you deliver lectures, you provide textbook, you provide knowledge, you share your your lived experience. Um, our assignment, summative, formative, give them rubrics, give them extra resources, and make discussion board as exciting as we can, right? So those are the kind of, we surround ourselves with that environment in order to do our work. So then I said, what does it mean for students, and what does it mean to me uh, as my role? Nothing changed in my goals of what I need to do to serve the student. But how do students change because of AI? So I cite one resource here, but I'm sure you can find many other survey. But 86% of students already using AI in their studies. Whether we ban or not ban, that's what they do. They already do using it before even some of the instructor using it. 58% student reporting feeling that they do not have sufficient AI knowledge. And what is really concerning is that 48% say that they don't feel prepared for their workforce. And especially teaching in community college, prepare students for workforce is vital. Yeah, I'm teaching my course in the workforce department, and another survey said that 80% students think that the school and teachers are not equipped yet to teach them AI. So that's you look at it, we don't think that we change as a instructor. We still have to provide the same learning outcome for them and the same goal, but students have changed. So that's really affect our last bullet here is that how do we adapt how we do our work so that we can make students do that. So basically what I come to one of the light bulb turn on is that AI really does not change my teaching goals, but it really changed how I go about achieving those goals. Um, so what kind of so what does it mean for me to change the way how I do it? It's like, so before AI, right? We are the content expert. We deliver knowledge. They all sit there listening to our knowledge when we present stuff. Right? And when we give them an assignment, the objective was we really test and assess their final output. So as an example, write a research paper on supply chain strategies, for example. And then we read it, say, okay, is it logical or not, and we grade them. It's correct factually, and then how they string their logical flow. So that's the traditional way. But then with AI, what I find is that I am now more a process guide, um, helping students to refine their ideas, showing them how to refine the ideas. So I'm really not, because so the example I would change it, I say that I allow student to use AI to draft an initial supply chain report, then critique it, fact check it, and refine AI output before they can submit. And they submit both the initial draft from AI, the output, and their final submission. So I see both versions. And always there's some reflection so they can tell why they're changing it, why they change this fact. So it's become a very different way. How do I say? I always wish that I could understand how students go about doing their work, how they go about understanding the subject matter, because all I see is the final work. So with AI, I really feel like I get to see a little bit more the inside out. I see their progress, how they change, how they change one thing from another, why they think certain things wrong. And so I feel like I'm helping them unlocking their thought processes more than just give me an output. And why do because AI is so great at writing research paper and essay paper on a given topic. It's very formulaic, but student doesn't feel that way. They have a nice, well-written paper to submit to us. So then I can see why that some of the faculty feel like, am I grading the student paper or am I grading a paper from one of these AI bot? So I think that so going at the actual learning process, help them exercise their critical thinking, guide them to do that. I find that at least in my course, it really make a difference. Um, so I'm not, so it's clear from the group that I am a fan, by start embracing AI responsibly. But I'm not, I just want to be clear, I'm not saying that the no AI option doesn't apply at all. There are courses that still make sense. If you're teaching student core skill or courses that require them to memorize stuff, or there are courses like if you take legal course, if you it requires human generated work, then then those are the things that you still have to be really cognizant that AI use is not acceptable in those professions. So the rest of the presentation that the example that I'm going through is really focused on the other two options is some AI or full AI. The difference is really the magnitude, how we apply. Do you apply to every week, every assignment, or and the type of assignment? But once you embark on some AI, then the transition to full AI, it's fairly doable. So the course that I said, for my course, it makes sense. I teach information system, marketing, and social media. So there's so much room that we require and we want to make our students to think critically, right? And they will use AI. So how do they use it properly? But in order to do, what I say, some AI, the key difference is that we still require some human analysis and judgment because that's how it will unlock, or at least it help them to exercise the critical thinking and learning how to fact check. Because otherwise you just perpetuate uh, fake news, in your own writing. So how do I use LibreTexts? I know that the whole conversation and this week is about a lot. You already get a lot of information, and from the group, you're all very expert at using remix feature. I will go through an example, what I do with that. But it's really just I'm not talking with some of the cool AI features that Delmar was planning to do or about to roll out or whatever. I'm telling faculty that even with the current set of features in LibreText and the fact that we have OERs, they can already do so many things that commercial textbooks writer, it's a whole lot harder or can't do or requires students have to pay. So for example, like I can use a remix feature and I combine a bunch of OERs together and create a customized assignment for that moment. So again, I'm preaching to the choir. I can't, normally I can't require a student to go and buy 3 books, right? They're not going to read it. They don't want to buy it, and I said they don't read it if they buy the books, and certainly it's a really time consuming for me to try to sift through different OER to pick out what I need, or I mean textbook and all of that. So even with just the ability to take uh, sections of an OER or taking a whole chapter of an OER and combine them to create a whole new, entity. Um, it's already allowed me to create embedded AI in these OER. So it's dynamic. I don't know how many of you, or if you use data set from public source, right? Every year I would have to download a new data sets and give to the student, and it's always. But here with OER, I can really embed it either the prompt itself, or or automated the prompt so that when the student run the exercise, they automatically see the new data. So it's really dynamic, and they allow them to use real time. I look forward to some of the new features that the is going to make LibreText even more AI friendly. Uh, but today, for faculty who have not used AI, I think that LibreText has the set of features today has plenty to allow us to create uh, AI assignment. Very, very powerful. Some of the publisher commercial textbook make students have to pay for extra to get to some of these either update of AI textbook with the AI assignment or pay for on their platform to get the extra exercise on AI or AI tools. But here we can exercise even the free version of all these AI bots integrate with OER is already make a huge difference. Right. So certainly I don't have to tell you that there's no licensing issues. When I use OER and give some of these bot, I don't have to worry about it. It's my OER or other people OER, but I know that I don't have a license issue. I'm not selling any of this stuff. And even with my commercial textbook, and I want to integrate AI, it's a lot more step for me to do that. And I have to do it separately as added material in my course versus, it's still the same link that the student go to OER. I feel like I'm singing to the choir, but I really love LibreText function and how it supports us doing all these new stuff very seamlessly. I mentioned before, you can integrate real-time data sets. I always have a list of study questions. So, the study question now, instead of just static, I can change very dynamically because if I use an AI prompt, then what the student get may be very different every time they click on that study question. Um, the most, one of the things really important to me was to really see how I can guide students and encourage them to fact check AI. Yes, I like AI. I want to integrate AI, but we have to be very honest that AI is about still 30% give us incorrect information. It does it so well and so confidently. It gives students this the illusion that it's always right. But it's actually there's a lot of studies out there that say 30% easily that's incorrect. So I think the ability, the skill to fact check and to analyze output from AI is one of the fundamental skills that the workforce, that students need to do at their work. I work with companies in many industries, and I see how I'm coaching some of them to even change the way they do the hiring practice and the way they interview. So these are the skill. They're not asking students to say, do you know how to use ChatGPT or Claude or whatever? No, they really ask that, can you be productive with high quality work, but it's still accurate and it's still authentic? Because no company want to be called out, oh, you plagiarize somebody's work or you give the wrong answer. So I really think that these are some of the skills that we were taking for granted that's kind of happened behind the scene. But now with AI, the process has to make it much more explicit. Um, and of course, because of no AI and LibreText, the still don't have to pay anything. I'm just going to stop for a moment before I go into the example. Is there any questions, any comments that people want to say at this point in time? All right. So let me walk you through some example how I use LibreText and create this assignment, right? Um, so there's this is one simple example where I say, okay, the prompt I give to a student is like, explain how company use AI in decision making, including benefits and risks. Provide example. So the student task, I say, go and get, and go ask AI to answer these questions. And then let's discuss the three good things, and then what do you see as bias in their output? Did the answer, one skew one way? Is it a balanced answer, present different perspective, or it really use some really biased point of view and give you that? Because we have to remember, at the end of the day, it's still human who design and train this database. So if they feed the machine bias information, we will get biased result. So it's really become so critical for students to understand when they get a balanced view versus where they get a really skewed point of view. So at least be aware of that, so then they can make their own informed decision where they land in that spectrum of opinion. Uh, so that's an example. I just use a simple, and this is one of the prompt. I have done pilot in the last few months, but these are the kind of prompt that I, instead of beside a very basic study guide at the end of my OER textbook, this is what I plan to put it in there, so that they can start as a study guide, even as basic exercise. They're starting to exercise and practice their fact checking and critical thinking. Now, so this is where how I use the remix feature, right? So I take 3 chapters from, so one chapter is from my book and 2 other chapters from another book. And the prompt is about, this chapter is all about designing database. So for my information system. So so I wrote the instruction. This is the assignment I typically give for in this chapter 4, for example. But the twist is that I always ask the student, because this is a business course, and so before you you are not a coder, right? But you have to give instruction to a database analyst of what you want. Yeah, what do you want the database to be like, how you intend to use it. So I want them to exercise, use PowerPoint. So this is dual goal here, because the course is teaching them how to present, at the same time using a meaningful topic for them to do that. So I take 2 chapters from another lab book to teach them how to use certain features in PowerPoint. This is not a lab course where they go in and have to go through every single feature of the Office 365. I just need to show them just enough features so they can exercise and create a decent PowerPoint. And if they want to go and learn all about the details of PowerPoint, then they should take one of the business application class. So I tell in my instructions, so one of my files contain all about the content for what the database they design should be. But then I said, I also want them to exercise this, create tables, bullet lists, and I want them to add animation. So this, what you see on the screen here, is the actual prompt that I give to the AI bot. So I give it 3 files, my chapter 4, and then a chapter 8 and 9 of another OER. I combine them, or you can give them a 3 separate files. So it's up to you how you want to do it, how fully interactive you want the assignment is, and embed it in Canvas, the way you embed it in any OER textbook, or you can just make an assignment like this. And then I ask it to revise take my instruction, add reference to the right chapter as extra resource for students to know where to go. Because what I learned is that with students, even though that you give them extra resources, if you don't know PowerPoint, here's an extra resource, go read it. I give them video, so some read it, some don't. So the whole point of the design, how can I give them just in time the information they need. So after this, then this is, so just I give you a little bit of what I get back, right? So for example, one of the tasks is define a data type, and then I refer that go to this section 4.4 in this chapter, right? Some say like, why do I give them such a, do I spoon feed them? Well, there's 2 schools of thought, right? One is that either they take time to read through the chapter and they skip pages, find the chapter they need, or we might as well tell them, because I want them to read that section again, and I want them to review that section. So put it right there where they need it. And of course, in Canvas, I can link directly into LibreTexts to my chapter. And some students, they may know how to create PowerPoint, or they may not, even though that, these days it's hard to believe that some don't know how to use PowerPoint. But again, I don't want, I need to make sure that both sides of the fence have the information. So when one of the tasks is say, create, show arrows and shape, right, of the tables relationship, I tell them. So in here, come back and say, if you want to use arrow, here's chapter 8, of section 8.9. Um, so it's exactly where they need it. And because it's a link, they go directly to that. As they read the instruction, they click, and they see an example. So it's the feedback is, it's really interactive. It's in the moment for the student, and it somehow it feels less work for them than if before I give my 5 instruction, then I give the extra resources. So what I learned from that exercise is that it's really saved me a lot of time, right? Because if I want to do this I literally have to go through each chapter and point fingers or point arrows and all of that. So it's really time saving for me. If I were to do this task on my own, update my revision and add all these annotation about where to link to the other OEI, I think it's going to take me over an hour easily. by going through this chapter and going to the right section. But once they give it to me, is I go straight to that section. I verify, okay, the information is correct. It's literally, it takes me only like 10 minutes. So it's really a lot of time saving for me. And I said, I can only tell you that I receive so many students tell me that, oh my gosh, you make it so easy to do this exercise, even though that the subject matter is very complex. So here's a place where you can go full to somewhat I call full AI if you want them to learn completely differently. So this is where I don't know how many of you are familiar with PlayLab. Is anybody in this group use PlayLab AI? Okay, so PlayLab AI is funded also by a grant. So any if you belong to a school, you can apply for an account there, and and they also have training as well. But you can create an account there and start learning, and they have really good, useful video for you to do that. So I went to a lot of training, and this is one of my pilot. So I create an AI bot that's based on ChatGPT, but it's a bot. I train it on one specific chapter. This is on chapter 13. It talks about a future trend of computing. And so let me switch gear to show you the actual bot. But this is what students see in Canvas. This is an assignment, and I said, for this week, instead of reading the chapter, use this app. Use this AI app, and then have a conversation with it, and then submit a copy of the entire conversation as the assignment. And so then but of course I said, after you use this, once you submit the assignment, then I open up another Canvas module. They still go back and they still can read their textbook normally the way they were. So they're not going, oh my gosh, if I messed up the AI, I will don't have a point. So they still can do the same thing. They still have the regular quiz. So this is like another way to, and I want to get an experience. What does it mean if they don't read textbook per se, but they still read the textbook in a different way, in their own way, how each of them go learning about it. Because when I read the whole submit report return from the student to see the conversation, it was just incredible to see the variety, how each of them go to learn this thing. Some student, of course, go in, you can see it, the student who love to have an A, right? That's the they work for hard, really hard. They start out and say, ask me the 10 questions and make sure that I give the right answer. That, for example, that's one prompt that is the student. Another prompt from a student who really said, very curious. I said, why is everybody talking about quantum computing? Tell me why it is important. What should I know about it? So I mean, it's amazing to see their learning process was so different, and yet they all arrived at the similar spot where they understand the topic. So let me switch gear and give you an example, show you the actual bot. So this is PlayLab, and I have an account there, but as I said, you all can go to PlayLab and submit. I don't know what the list is. If it's short, I'm sure they can approve it quickly, but if it's long, you may have to touch them directly. So I create a couple bots as an example. So here's the bot I was just talking to you about. So if I launch, let's hope it works. So so I started out. So again, I again give them a sense of safety. So I said you can take out as long as you want. Review the material, and I disclosed I will ask them multiple choice at different points in the conversation, up to 10, to help them master the concept. But they can do whatever they want. They can ask me question at a time. Me, in this case, is really the bot. And I said, so what do you want me to call you? So let's just say that, I just say, call me Lee. And so now they start talking to the AI bot that I trained. So they said, yeah, so start out, what would you like to explore? Any topic? Should I guide you through this? So if I say, where do I start? So you have a question you want me to ask, I can certainly type it in because this is live. Um, so then so this is where AI is great, right? AI is great. I give you summary, and so then so a student can just go in and sit there and ask, and then randomly after they talk a little bit more, then the bot would ask them a question. Give them like a multiple choice quiz. So we can't go through a long conversation here. But that's an example where it's fully interactive. Um, so the textbook, instead of the front and center to the student, the textbook becomes supporting material. And the front to center is really in an interactive dynamic conversation. And so the student, they use it. I say someone, I call it buddy professor as the name, because it's just so that they have a virtual me with them all the time, anytime they want. Instead of having them sending me an email at 2 a.m. in the morning, now they can talk to my representative and ask their question. So what do I learn from this? Because this is the last pilot that I did at the end of last term, and I'm refining it based on student feedback. And so what I have learned is that certainly, so I'm kind of paraphrase a little bit, and this is direct quote. I can't share you the name of the student, but mix it up a little bit. It's AI helped me breaking ideas, and it's like having a personal tutor. Um, Another good thing, it saved me time, it helped me learn. So this student, very conscientious. They usually write notes, and they said that they wasted time because a lot of time either they don't write good notes or the note they never refer back. So they feel like they save a lot of time. Uh, and well, but student starting to critique. I said this discussion that I have after they use it, it will just blowing up the whole discussion board. It will just, it's like, wow, I had to be there every day because the conversation would just keep going. So he says, because I asked them to critique it as well, and they said, well, no, the quiz feature of how I trained the bot didn't fly. It was too easy. They feel like it's still missing the mark. They want more complex. They want more scenario based. So they want more use case based to practice versus the current style that we do multiple choice question. So the bot I trained, I wanted to keep it somewhat familiar, so I gave them the 10 question in the multiple choice format. And they said, "Yay, you can ask me more complex question," because I feel confident. I feel like if I get it wrong, I can work through why I was wrong. Um, then when we still have students say, I want to read, I want to go, I want to do my traditional reading and writing. But even that, they still think that it's useful to have this as a quick search to get quick answer. But for them, they probably still want to go back and read. They feel more comfortable to do that. So what I learned is that, so where students are, is very, to some extent, it's similar to some of the survey that we talked earlier. So AI really helped them with brainstorming and save time. Student likes AI. They like to have it, but as an optional tool. They are not quite ready for us to give only AI teaching, because they said, like, "Oh, would AI make it too easy? Am I learning anything?" So they still, so again, if professor think that, oh, if I have gave them AI, then what am I doing, right? There's so many things you have to do to get to this point. And even students who likes to keep, they want to be comfortable, they want to keep the current way, they still want to be exposed to use AI for some of their work. So this is where students are, and I mentioned before, we have to always be adaptive in order to meet where they are. So that's what I really see is that we shift from content delivery and assess student assignment through the result of that summative and formative assignment to a different approach, to more what I call as a process facilitation. We teach them how to think, refine, and engage critically, explicitly, and not that we assume them to do that as part of their learning process, right? So most of my, I redesigned some assignment as you see, but I'm in a process of really increasing the change in my traditional assignment to do away with assignment that can take AI to generate for them in 1 minute and they get an essay. So those assignment I'm replacing them, and some of the study questions in my OER book I also start replacing them. Again, the goal was to help them practice the critical thinking, practice building up the new skill of fact checking um, and critiquing. So that means that uh, grading rubrics have to change. We have to recognize that at least for me, I prioritize the human modification, the fact checking, the critiquing. I give it a lot more credit than if you were just to give me a summary of what the assignment is. Right? So based on the feedback so far, I did a pilot on those 3 assignments and some other small assignment. And all my discussion questions are no longer, I said I'll make it as hard as possible for AI. So I mean, all my discussion questions have changed, and the assignment some assignment has been changed, as I share with you. So what I learned from that, and based on what the student responded, was that it seemed like encourage responsible use of AI is much more effective way for me to deliver my goals to teach them than banning it. But of course, it doesn't mean that, I just say, go do whatever, right? So you still have to put some guardrail, right? And some way to know that they actually use it responsibly. Like for example, I said, submit the conversation so I can see the before and after, or they have a reflection at the end to talk about why they changed certain things. Because these are the things AI is not good at. AI give you a very formulaic answer, and they can't independently thinking. So when you ask them why you're doing this, they give you again very generic answer. So whenever I see generic answer, I can tell right away that the student has just given a summary, didn't do anything. So this is so the way I grade what I'm looking for is very different. Um, any question, comment? So I said that we need to meet the student where they are, but we have to recognize AI impact different students in different ways. Not all students use AI, but all students should learn it, in my opinion, again, and from the student feedback, because they feel that it is something that they need to know, whether they want to use it regularly basis or not, but they need to know how to use it properly because they feel like that's part of what help them looking for a job. It's part of the job interview now. And they some still straddle between the two worlds, so they want both worlds. So we have to figure out some way. So I can't go all the way and make every chapter an AI bot and make them learn through an AI bot. So we have to find the right balance there, right? Um, and we always talk about making the right decision, but with AI, I really feel that the AI ethical use of AI has to be taught explicitly. We can't assume that students know how to use it correctly. Not because they intentionally do it wrong. It's just that AI is so confident in the way they talk to you. It gives the student this false illusion that AI is correct all the time. So they said, if AI is so correct, I have no room to improve. So they just say, okay, it must be correct. So then they just don't feel motivated changing it. But what I find in all of discussion that the changes I made, the minute I ask them to critique, students are love to critique. Right? They will find something. And when I ask them to go fact check, and they do, they do the Google search. I said, give me the credible sources. They come back, and most of them say, "Oh my gosh, I did not know this. This is wrong." If didn't I go check, I would have used the answer as is. Right? So, the formative now, instead of just practice, but it's really become skill building exercise, but integrating with AI tools. Summative, instead of just looking at the final product, I'm looking at for independent thinking, uh, very explicitly, not just into the final product. So, yeah, I'm in closing, I'm just asking you whether how any of these approach, if they would fit in with what you are thinking of doing, or where you are. Just give me some feedback. What are some of these ideas? Any of them make sense to you? How would you want to use it? I'm kind of like opening up for any comment Q&A at this point in time. I know that I still have some time, but I just want to make sure that we have time to discuss. Any comment, questions?
Lee, there's lots of stuff to unpack there. One thing that I may mention, and that you probably are not aware of it, but your account on LibreTexts or LibreOne gives you access to a system called Antecedent.
Okay.
We're going to rebrand that soon to Forge, and it provides an infrastructure that students can write in a centralized approach, and it will keep track of analytics of what the students write, and then you can identify if students have pasted in large quantities of content.
Okay.
And then you can do analysis based off of that in order to say, okay, well, this student is likely to have gotten the content from somewhere on the internet, and use it as a mechanism in order to be more critical about what students have contributed. And it has a handful of other analytic infrastructures. And again, it's available right now if you want to be able to use it.
Oh, okay. So I have not exercised that feature. So that's
Yeah,
another
it is.
feature. It's so many features. I was like, just what can I do even with just the most basic function, right? And I'm just behind the eight ball for trying to change all my assignment. Let's see, Marcus, did you ever discuss with students the ecological impact of using AI? Yes, so continue with the same course as an example. So in the session that when we talk about networking, so we talk about data centers, and the use of the energy required. So we talk about that. And again, the opinion is all over the map. So it's very hard to know where, there's very passionate students who say that this technology is bad for us because we are giving out so much, make the ecology, the atmosphere and everything is worse. Um, there's the other school of thought. The students say, well, but every innovation bring its early bad stuff, but then they hold a company who provide the AI technology to be more responsible. So it's a very heated debate, but but I don't have an answer for you from what where I see the student is. But there's okay. All right, thank you. Marcus, what do you think? Do you think that are we creating exaggerated problem, exacerbate the problem by teaching students to use AI because we are encouraging them to use this data center even more?
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Okay. Um, my concern is, I mean, okay, so we say everyone has an opinion. Some people say it's good, some people say it's bad. But yes, everyone does have an opinion, but where is the expert judgment in this? Because I mean, you can rely on different frames for decision making, be it business or economics or ecology, but at the end of the day, we have an overpopulation problem and we have an energy consumption problem. And it seems like we're spending a whole lot of energy and valuable resources on generating information that's often incorrect.
Mhm.
And I wonder if we as professors shouldn't be in the position of saying, yeah, this is a tool, it's not a very good tool, and let's wait until it's better before we start using it. I mean, I guess where is our professional, like where is our professional mandate and our ethical mandate to guide people in talking about or thinking about these tools?
Mhm. Well, I think that's you nailed the problem, because we as professor, we will wait. We try, each of us try to do something that we think is ethically right, and we're trying to kind of put a box around what we need to do, because we have many conflicting goals that we're supposed to deliver. We're supposed to help students find jobs, so we have to kind of teach them the skill needed for them to get jobs,
Certainly.
especially, right? So that's one goal, but then and some, we are in education, some things move extremely slow, right? AI has been around for a while, but we finally get an official statement about these three options. But before that, it was everywhere. So so I think everybody's still trying to figure out, but where we, at least where personally I landed, is that if I don't teach them how to use it, then I may not help them finding a job, because at least in the field I'm teaching them, or because they're using it anyway. So how can I help them say that there are times when I don't need to use AI? Yeah, this is a simple Google search will be fine. Or just look up the textbook, it's fine. Do a search on the textbook, because now with OER online, they can do a simple search and they find information. There's no need to use AI. But there are times, if they are going to use AI, then let's do it in the way that's meaningful for them. So that's I'm kind of in that middle state where how can I balance it? Because I know that I can't just tell them. I'm frankly, I'm tired of policing them, right? Because if I say no AI, then you're like, I have to turn it in, then I have to check and I have to argue with them. I have to teach them when to use Grammarly versus not Grammarly Go. I mean, just like I feel like I'm just policing them versus taking their experience and create something good, something better for them within that constraint. So this is kind of where I am, but I totally agree with this. It's a problem that we yeah, until these companies become more responsible and more something else, all of us have to make this kind of very tough decision to find that one position where we feel that we are helping students at the same time, not making it worse. Any comments? Let's see. Kylie, you talk about you creating. You also talked about that topic. Is there anything else you want to add? All right. Jennifer, I think that's all the experience and insight I have to share with the group. Yeah, if there's no other question, I think we can close the session.
Great. Thank you, Lee. That was wonderful as always.